What's going on, everybody? We got ourselves a little special today on the CHG Podcast. We have our first special guest, Tyler from Clouded Minds.
Welcome. What's going on, everybody?
To the podcast. I am super excited. He's super excited.
Woo.
You're super excited. Everyone's super excited. David couldn't make it today. He couldn't make it this week. He has got a crazy schedule going on. You know, those retail jobs. You know how they are.
Yep.
You know how those retail jobs are full of shit. That's what they are.
He should have told his boss he was going to the bathroom. You know how I like to do it.
You know what? I should have passed along the.
It's very wisdom. Good advice.
I should have passed along the wisdom. Just tell your. See, Ty's thing is that you just tell your boss you're going to the bathroom, and then leave. That's it. Just leave. Leave. Don't even clock out. Just leave.
You'll be good.
Well, anyways, yeah. So he couldn't make it. So I got my good friend here, Ty from Clouded Minds, who you might have seen me on some of his live streams and live panels that he does on the regular. He's got like 1,000 live streams that he does every week. You got like the Wednesday one, the member shout out. You got the Friday one. We have a little live panel. Then we have the late night podcast with you, myself, and Jet Game Creations as well. And so, so we're gonna have fun. We're gonna have a good time here, and we're gonna get it going. So, Ty, let me ask you. Like we started off with all our CHG podcasts, we talk about what we're playing. What are we playing? And I'm going to ask you, what are you playing? Either on camera or off camera, if anything.
I've been playing off camera and, well, I mean, both, honestly. But I was playing, it's called Animal Battle Royale. And it came out in 2018, so it's a little bit of an older game. But, oh my gosh, it's such a fun game. It's just it's like a mix between like Call of Duty meets like farm animals. Or it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so to speak to that, so he opened up his own another side channel that he has. He wants to take over YouTube with like 1,000 channels, and him and Jet, who I mentioned just a second ago, they made their own channel called J&T something. J&T
TV.
What's the full title? J&T TV, and it's just those two live streaming and doing other things. But they recently put out that video, a stream of them playing that game, and I watched some of it. And my first thought was literally like, "What in the hell is this?" it's literally zoo animals. We're talking tigers, like kangaroos, lions, bears, turtles.
Well, the funny start of that game though is everybody starts out with a katana. And it's just like Fortnite when you start out in the bus and then you have to drop out from the sky, except this is an eagle. Like you're riding inside of a bus eagle and you have to like choose where to land. So you like drop out. But it's a lot of fun. It's a wacky game. It's such a wacky game.
It's so wacky.
And it's also
wacky.
free.
It's just yes. It's as Jet was saying, FREEEEEEE. What's that spell? I have
no idea. But I know it's something good.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah, it's something good. It's so crazy. It's just you want to just have a wacky, fun time. That if you like battle royales, but you want something a little more quirky and fun, play that game. Super Battle Royale. So yeah, I saw you guys. That was an interesting game for sure. Have you played any more of it since that stream?
I have not. I need to. I really do need to. I need to figure out if there's some kind of... So we just kind of like went with it and just started playing it on a whim. And so we didn't really... Since I'm sure that you're probably aware, once you start recording and you're getting into something, a lot of the nuances of a game, like leveling up or getting new equipment and stuff kind of seems to be an afterthought, at least for me anyways. That's my personal opinion.
I know, absolutely.
So absolutely. I usually, when I'm doing that kind of stuff, I usually leave like side quests and stuff to be like my own thing to do on the side and then people, when they're watching me, I'm doing the main quest. So that's kind of, I guess that's me.
That's not just you, man. Like literally, that's why if I'm ever streaming, I'm not streaming a brand new game that I have, unless Ratchet & Clank was different because I played all the others before, so I knew what was going on. But if it's a brand new game that I've never heard of, I would never play that on stream first go, never, because I want to get immersed. I want to get into it. I want to actually know what to do, get all the controls writing everything. I don't need people telling me in the chat like you got to do this and this and this and this. And it's like, man, if you were streaming, you would understand my struggle.
They call that backseat chatting.
Backseat chatting. Okay, I would say backseat gaming, but I guess they have to be next.
Oh,
to
backseat gaming. Okay,
but,
yeah, no, that works too.
Yeah, but yeah, it's oh man, but you're not alone. I understand. So for all of you guys that who have been watching the last few episodes, I don't know if Ty, you've had a chance to check them out, but I've been playing this game called Remnant from the Ashes, and it is it's a Souls-like game, but it focuses on gunplay rather than melee combat. There is a melee, you get a melee item if you want, but it's heavily on just shooting. But it has all the Souls quirks, like the checkpoints as bonfires, going from place, you use this giant crystal to transport from travel from one location to the other. There's like the stamina bar, the health bar, you have to figure out your armor builds and stuff, and maximizing your critical hits, critical damage, damage output, stuff like that. It has all the trappings that a Souls-like has, just as a shooter. It's also a budget title. So, excuse me, you're not going to get a lot of the polish that a Souls game has by any means. But I've been playing this game for the last few weeks, and I just got done wrapping up the last DLC that the game had. And so I just wrapped it up like 2 days ago. So I'm finally goddamn done with this game. It's been way too long. Like, the game was fun, but it ran its course a long time ago. And so I'm happy to be done. I deleted that shit right off my hard drive as soon as I was done with it. I'm so glad I bought that game on sale. I think I bought it for like $15 or something.
I have to interject there just for a quick second. I'm notorious for beating a game and never deleting it. I swear I have. I just have tons of games on the hard drive.
Well, is that on your computer or on your system or?
Oh, on the Xbox.
Oh, okay,
I have an Xbox, but I ended up buying an external hard drive. It was 1 terabyte. Well, actually, I take that back. Toast ended up buying me an external hard drive. So thank you.
How nice of them.
Yeah, it was very nice. So I ended up having basically, I was able to download a lot more than I ever would before. So now I find myself playing a game, beating it, and then never deleting it.
Well, now you don't have to. There's no worry.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually gave Travis a 4 terabyte one that I had because it didn't work with my MacBook. So I have a MacBook, and it wasn't one of those that can be used for both Windows and Mac. So I was like, I have this hard drive now with nothing to do. I was like, Travis, you want it? He was like, I'll take it. So he took it, and he will never, ever, ever need to delete a single thing off his hard drive again.
Nice.
That actually reminds me, back on the PS3 360 days, I had one of those 500 gigabyte PS3s, and this is also back in the day
back in the day
when games would only take 8 gigs, at the most. Sometimes they'd even take a gig, which I don't know.
I remember when I first saw a 20 gig game, and it blew my mind. I was who's downloading this 20 gig game? Remember when discs on PlayStation used to have 4? It was like Final Fantasy 9 or whatever had 4 discs.
Yes, 4. I couldn't fit all in it.
Yeah, couldn't fit it all in one. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, now we have 100 gig games, and then when they do updates, it's 80 gigs.
Yeah, how was the
space
update
for this?
How's the update bigger than the game?
Exactly. Sometimes it's weird like that. I don't understand it.
Now, what's bad when now we're starting to get to the point where developers actually have to put out patches that reduce the file size.
We compress the file within this coding.
Here's an update that will add storage, but it'll end up taking away storage. It's I mean, I'm glad you're doing it, but it's this tells you this is we're at this point. We need to stop. It's come on, guys, compress the files better. Come on, put it in a zip drive or something. Jeez, gosh damn. Yeah, but I remember those on my 500 gigabytes PS. I still have it. I bought it back in 2013 or 2012. I have not deleted a single thing off of that, and I even have videos and music in there too, and I've never deleted it. I still have 150 gigs left.
Jeez.
I'm just I look at my PS4 and I'm just I just look in shame. I'm how could you? How could you do this to me? I remember when Last of Us Remastered was first announced, and they were talking about the file size, and it was going to be 50 gigs, and people lost their shit. They were that's a tenth of the freaking thing, the whole hard drive in one game. What? And now it's here's Call of Duty Warzone, which takes up
Well, that makes
All
you. I
of
mean,
it.
obviously, we know that's a scam and a cash grab from the manufacturer, like Sony or Xbox, Microsoft, Nintendo. They do that on purpose so that we'll have to go out and buy
I know, right? You have to buy the hard.
these external hard
Yeah,
drives to add to their
and
machines, and then the devs purposely go out there. I guarantee somebody's getting kickback somewhere for forcing us to go buy all this crap because it seems like it's very calculated, very calculated.
almost, if you look into it, it's a little too convenient. You have a good point there, especially on the Sony side, especially too, because at least when systems launch at first, they're not as compatible with as many external hard drives. It is, they are now, but at launch they're not as compatible. Like the PS5,
They tried
you
to go
can
the
now.
Apple route. They were
Yeah,
trying to
kind
do
of.
the
Yeah.
whole Apple like Sony proprietary only
Hmm.
thing, and it didn't work
Yeah.
out for them very well because people were
Well,
so
there's.
used to it being like used with other products versus Apple's very niche. So like people are
Hmm.
used to Apple being I just have to buy Apple crap like
Yeah.
versus video games like you're just used to being I could just cross go with it like
Hmm.
it doesn't matter.
And a PS5 is actually trying to do that again. They now finally release support for external solid state drives, but only like a very specific one will work. I don't know if Xbox has the same situation. I don't follow Xbox news as closely, so maybe they have the same problem. But I just know specifically for PlayStation, that's the same thing. I'm sure eventually, some years down the line, it'll be more open source, like, open for every other types of hard drives. But yeah, it's just yeah.
I mean, me personally, I see the future of gaming like not being a physical console, or if it is a console, it'll be a device similar to like a Roku or something, and everything will all be digital. Like there won't be a Xbox versus PlayStation versus Nintendo. They'll all eventually hop on board with their online services, and we'll have one box that just plays all of their games across this one
I hope
platform.
that I hope that day never comes. That's just me. I hope that day never comes. David has a similar trajectory for gaming as far as like he sees it
If you look
eventually
at the digital
going all
sales of
digital.
just digital only versus physical copy, there's obviously still a massive market for people who love to have physical stuff. It's the same for movies, right? Like you go out and you get
Hmm.
a collection, and then you can have this physical collection that sits behind you collecting dust on a shelf and say, look, I own millions of movies. Whereas with the digital world, like everything going digital, it just seems like places like GameStop would be a good example, right? Like, look at this company that did nothing but sold games, had to reimagine what they did. Well, I mean, obviously their games are like overly priced when it comes to trading and everything like that, but they had to totally redesign their entire company model to start selling like toys and stuff, like collectibles to just stay in business. Obviously, like now you can see they're making massive amounts of money, but that's because of Reddit. But regardless of that, like it's very interesting to see like where companies are hedging their bets per se. I guess if that's the right way to say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into a GameStop tangent because I did work there for 5 years, and I've also followed them for a long time. They're actually one of the stocks that I follow personally, but and also David worked there too. He actually does currently work there.
Nice.
He's worked there for like a decade, but he's quitting pretty soon. So I imagine after he does finally say goodbye, I think he and I are going to take an episode and talk about GameStop.
Nice. Nice.
We have a lot to say.
I would I'd be interested to hear that one.
We have a lot to say, and not just about working there, but just about the company itself.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna move on here. I'm gonna ask you a quick, fun little question that we usually kind of do on the channel before we kind of really get going. And as so games focused, I want to ask you, Ty, if you, I know you're more of a movie guy than a game guy, but if you could pinpoint your favorite game, in your opinion, that you've ever played, what would it be? And if not a game, a series or a franchise to make it easier.
I mean, as far as a game goes, it would have to be the Harvest Moon franchise.
All
Like I
right.
was extremely like obsessed with those games. I don't know. I can't tell you specifically what about that game made me obsessed with it. But just the idea of owning a farm. I think it might have been just the concept idea of owning a farm and like rebuilding and I think it was the whole concept behind the game. I just loved it. Are you familiar with
You're not.
Harvest Moon?
I am. I am. I personally have not played it, but my younger brother and sister were just as much as love with it as you were. Specifically, my brother. Because he was more of our Nintendo guy growing up, and obviously those were more heavily on,
Oh yeah.
on Nintendo. And so on his Wii or GameCube, I believe GameCube, he or the Wii, it could play GameCube games. But either way, I remember just sitting watching him play so much goddamn Harvest Moon, and and I was like, so what's going on? And he was like breaking it down for me, telling me about the plot, he was like telling me some other things going on, and I was like, I thought you were just farming. Like, it's like he's telling me all these other things, and he had a friend that played it too. Like, it wasn't just him. Like, it wasn't just like he was just a weird kid that played it by himself. No, he had friends that played it too. They were all talking about it and having a good time, acting like they treated that game as if it was like Smash Brothers. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't look at it as like some quirky kiddie game. Like, no, man, this is real deal. This is the real deal. My farm is no joke. So I'm familiar with that game. I'm familiar with it. It's not for me, but
No,
I
we'll
can
leave
totally
riding
see the allure.
stables to you.
This is my show. Don't you bring that up.
I'll keep Harvest Moon.
but
You can keep riding stables.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, I see the allure because I years ago I downloaded this app from a former ex of mine had this kitty farming game that she loved, and I got into it because I started like seeing because I have a business. I'm a business major, marketing and finance, but you have to learn all types of business things. I have a business savvy mind. So, anyways, I'm looking at this farm, and I'm thinking about like operation management. I'm thinking like, okay, we have this, we can do this at this time. I'm thinking of bottlenecks and like all this stuff. So I was like, I need this game. So I downloaded the game and I started playing it, and I was getting so addicted to it for like a good half a year. So I get it. I get the allure of that farming building simulator kind of thing. But I know that Harvest Moon is more than just that.
Yeah,
But I'm just glad. Yeah,
I was just gonna say it's a very interesting game for nobody who's familiar with it. Like, if you have the same concept that's like, oh, it's just a farming game. Like, if you actually take a closer look at it, there's a whole story behind it. Like,
yeah, it's a crazy story. It's not just like this is what made Animal Crossing what it is today.
Yeah, pretty much.
If there was no Harvest Moon, there would be no Animal Crossing on your little Switch that
Don't
you're playing.
Forget
You'd be
that.
having your little islands. Don't you forget that. Don't you forget it. We know. We paved the way.
That's right.
We paved the way for Animal Crossing, even though it's probably just about as old. But whatever, fuck you. Anyways, I'm just glad you brought up like a more kind of like a I guess different game. Like I was hoping you would say something like Harvest Moon, something like a deep cut type of game. You know what I mean? Not something like GTA or like Call of Duty.
Speaking of GTA, like I know it's going to be blasphemy for a lot of people, but I never actually got into those games. Don't get me wrong, San Andreas and Miami and all those ones, like they were fun to play because I loved the music, but the actual game itself to me just never really made sense. It was just all about run and gun, like, and then rob people. Like that was pretty much the whole gist of the game. And
or at least that's what gets mostly like the most screen time when you talk about it or see it. So it's like if you really don't sink your teeth into it, you wouldn't know, because like they do have engaging stories, but it's just like
the most appealing part of the story is those things, like those aspects, which I was never really into that kind of stuff. So.
Or like what you do from getting from story point to story point, all that stuff in between is like, But don't worry, I didn't get into it either. I never got into it, even when San Andreas was the biggest thing on the planet. Never even heard of it for the longest time. Vice City, what is that? Like, never. Part of it is because my mom actually, she kind of kept some restrictions around my house, and I couldn't have rated M games in my house. And since I was too young to buy the games, she would know one way or another if I tried to play them, unless I played it at a friend's house. But yeah, I just never got into it, even from a young age. Like I'm sure most people did. So by the time I got older, I was like, it doesn't really do it for me. So I feel you. You're not alone. So if you're gonna kill him, you gotta kill me too. Anyways, I'll follow up. So my favorite, you know what? I can't say a favorite game per se, because that's a little too hard. I mean, if I were to choose maybe something, like maybe Crash 3 would probably be up there as a top.
You're obsessed with Crash. I just have to say it.
I am. Old Crash, not this new Crash. Fuck this new Crash. This new Crash can suck my dick. All right, I don't like this new Crash. Old Crash is where it's at. Maybe Crash 3, Spiral 1, maybe. Tony Hawk 1 or 2. Actually, no. Frick, I don't even know what Tony Hawk game to choose from because 1 through 4 were all wonderful, and Thug 1 and 2 were gosh damn bonkers. So like I wouldn't even know which one to choose. But one of those and like Ratchet and Clank, probably Deadlocked or Tools of Destruction would be up there. But as far as favorite franchise, that would have to be Ratchet and Clank, just because it's like the longest one that's been consistently the best for me out of all the franchises I played. I mean, there's like 13 games in the series, and they've
Yeah, there's
all
a lot of
been
them.
pretty solid. Even like the more budget title focused ones are like they're not bad. Like they're kind of weird, but they're not. You can't really say they're bad per se. So I think that's what mine would be. Anyways, we're gonna continue on here. So anyways, guys, so things are gonna be a little different today with our special guest here. So instead of kind of keeping this completely gaming focused, I wanted to have us maybe get to know Ty a little bit better. For everyone who hasn't known him already, I know because he's everywhere. But if you don't know him, I want to maybe get a little more details about it. It's more personally for me than for you, but whatever. You're here anyways. So anyways, Ty. So I believe I do know that you've been into YouTube for a long time, for as far as I remember, for as I think I've heard you say. How long have you actually been like how long have you had some kind of a YouTube channel?
Well, I originally started TieFly85 is my original channel.
Ty Fly
Yeah,
85. That
that was the original. The
I love that name.
Yeah, the name actually comes. I used to be a travel agent, and I worked at Carlson Leisure
Really?
Travel, which owns like Lufthansa Airlines and TGI Fridays, like the whole slew of entertainment stuff.
What?
Yeah, so that's where the I had to create an email to
Uh-huh.
associate with that, and so I just was like
Hmm.
Tie Fly. So I was like I was a travel agent. It made sense. Now it makes sense for other reasons, but that's the actual reason why that came about. But yeah, so I started TieFly85, and that was back in, I believe it was 2016, I believe.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah,
All right.
it's been quite a while. It's been a hot
5 years.
minute.
All right. Yeah. What was that original channel
I
about?
used to do obscure news stuff. So a real life jigsaw. Like some lady over in the Philippines had hired some guy
What?
to saw her legs off. Like no joke. Yeah,
What?
and then what happened
What?
is they found out that there was, they were coerced. What happened is the lady had this guy saw her legs off. They stuck her on a train tracks to make it look like the train had like ran over her legs, so she could like sue the company to get a crap ton of money. You know what I mean? And it didn't work out that way. And the guy went to jail, right? And they let the lady off because like her punishment was that she sawed her own legs off. So like she has to live with that for the rest of her life because she didn't.
And she's not mentally disabled. She's a fully regular functioning woman.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I mean, as far as the article, it didn't get too into much detail into that, but that's like the gist of like the kind of stuff I used to talk about. So it was like obscure, like
That's an
really
important
odd,
detail.
weird, like
That is more
stuff you
than
would never
what
hear
the.
about on the news, just like totally obscure stuff that just like flies under the radar, and that was the type of stuff that I would talk about.
What I want to know is how did you come across that?
Oh, I would go purposely looking for it. That's how I come across it.
Where did you go? The dark web?
No,
Like
I wasn't
where
on the
did
dark
you go
web.
to find that? Oh my
I would just go out
gosh.
to like other countries and stuff. You just go to like trying to look up other countries, like just trying to keep my eyes out for weird obscure news. I mean, you could just type in weird obscure news and like a bunch of stuff would just pop up. All kinds
But
of.
would it come up from like I mean, it's true. I believe you on that, but I imagine they probably would be more focused on the US. I don't know if I would get too many hits from
Oh, you can find
overseas.
them. No, yeah, you can find them.
Well, obviously you did. So I mean, you're proof. Wow, that's crazy. And what made you want to like take like why'd you want to do this? Like or do that, I should
Well,
say,
so
at the
I
time.
originally, when I first started to get into YouTube or just to watch it, not even like wanting to do
Mhm.
anything with it, I originally was watching like PewDiePie and
Yeah.
Philip DeFranco and a
Oh yeah,
few of
Phil
the
DeFranco.
other like bigger
Hmm.
people. And Philip DeFranco, I think, was the main reason why I actually started to be like, I really enjoy what he's doing.
Hmm.
I wonder if there's something there that maybe I could do that could be different. And because he kind of tackled more mainstream stuff, and then also like YouTube related stuff sometimes as well. And I was just like, I'll just go completely obscure news and like I'll just give my real opinions. It was called Real News, Real Opinions, and so like that was the whole gist of it was just I would talk about the specific article and then give my opinion on it, like whatever it may be. But yeah, no, it was just it was a lot of fun.
It sounds like it. And was it just you, or did you have anyone helping you?
No, it was just me by myself.
Oh wow!
And back then, actually, I never was on camera either. So my first stint at being on camera was when we had my second channel. When I started from that one, when we went to MG Nights, and that was the first time I had I just kind of went with it. I know a lot of people when they're starting out new channels and that kind of thing. So I guess this could be directed at all of you who are thinking of starting and are starting a channel. One of the biggest things I would say is when I first turned my camera on and we're first doing it, it was a pre-recorded. There was no live streaming. It was a little bit weird at first, because you kind of are like, it's me on the screen, and it's a little weird, but I think just go for it. If I have to say one thing that I remember from way back then is when I was doing just the voice, to me, I'm just like I do hear a lot of people with just voices can go, but I noticed that a lot of the people who were getting like hits and stuff were you physically saw them versus just hearing their voice. So to me it just seemed like it was nerve-wracking at first, but like you get used to it, and then after a while, like I don't know, you get to where we are.
Yeah, I mean, you eventually do get used to it. That's ridiculous. You kind of forget the camera's even on sometimes.
Yeah.
If you're really just kind of letting yourself loose. I would say unleash your inner narcissist if you're gonna, to help, if it helps at all. That can go a long way. To think that you're the shit. If you want to have your camera on and stuff, even if you don't think you are, even if it's like really bad, try to find some narcissism in there because it'll probably help you. At least on camera. That's my advice for it, which is not wholesome at all compared to what he said, but but that's what I would say.
We don't expect that from you.
Oh, not at all. Not here. No, it does help because even though my channel, I co-started it with David, and he's the blonde one for all you guys keeping track. He's the blonde one that I do the podcast with, and that I did the Crash Bandicoot episodes with. He and I started our channel, I think, in 2017, so not too far out, or maybe, yeah, I think 2017. So about a year after you started yours. So we've been around the block longer than a lot of these new people as well. We didn't use video for like the first 2-3 years, but it was mostly because we wanted to just see how far we could go with the audio, just with the commentary, just to see how far that would work. And then we were just like, you know what? I think it's just like you said, it provides a deeper level of interactivity, connectivity with the creator, with the audience. And so we're just like, I just bite the bullet because let's just get these cameras going. But luckily, David and I are master narcissists. So when we had the camera on, it wasn't a huge problem for us. And, we were ready for it. I know that's definitely not the case for a lot of people, especially for starting out on YouTube. But I would kind of piggyback on what Ty said and do a lot of have just practice at first. Don't even or do pre-recorded stuff first. Practice it. See how you are. See, get the nervousness out of your system. And then after it's out and you've talked a little bit, you kind of talked away the anxiety, then do the recording for real, and then see if that works. But yeah, so we talked about 2 channels so far, and so it's MG Nights. Tell us more about that. What was that?
Yeah, so when I was doing TIE Fly 85, I had gotten up to I think 20 videos or something like that. And I was kind of getting into my groove. So I kind of, I was kind of feeling my way out, and I was starting to pick up a good, okay, here's how I'm going to, get these and pop them out and make these videos. Because back then we were doing things quite a bit different on TIE Fly 85. Each of the videos, I mean, it would take me a simple 5-minute video would take me almost I don't know, 5 or 6 hours, because it was all picture related. You weren't seeing my face. So that's how there's more involved when it comes to a pre-recorded video.
Mm-hmm.
But when we switched over, I had approached my buddy who also was interested in doing YouTube. He literally had mentioned it. And so I was just like, hey, man, I already am doing YouTube. Like, we should think of doing something together, because I already knew he was big into video games and I was big into movies. And so we already were friends in that way anyway. So I was just like, let's try this out. And we did it. And, you know, uh, we basically he did everything that had relation to gaming, and I did everything that was in relation to movies or television. And then we would come together to discuss all of that stuff. And it kind of progressed that way it was almost about 2 years roughly. And within the first year and a half, well, let me just say within the first year and a half, we kind of had somewhat of a falling out, where he wanted to kind of go off and do his own thing, which was he created his own channel and then went off and did that. And then within 8 months or so after that, I kind of did a few videos and then kind of stopped. And then we came back together randomly, me and him, like we met up as like outside of, because we're friends in real life. So I met up with him when I went back to the state, and we just decided one day while we were both drunk, surprisingly, we're just like, hey, you know what we should do while we're completely drunk? Let's start the YouTube back up. Okay, sounds like a great idea. So we did do that, and it went on for quite a while. We actually had started a podcast show, and like we were getting our groove and stuff, and things were going good. And then it just kind of, he decided to go off and do his own thing again, and I basically, when that had happened, I just had stopped making. I kept the channel going for maybe a month after that, and then just kind of lost interest, because the whole fun of it to me was that I was doing it with somebody else.
Yeah.
So like the fun part of what it was fun to me kind of like disappeared when that happened. And so I didn't do anything for the longest time. And that channel actually, so MG Nights, which is now Clouded Minds, because we had branded the whole channel on January 1st of 2020, well, just this year. So we just rebranded on January 1st. And with MG Nights, though, we were monetized. And because I had not posted anything in so long, if you don't post anything within a 6-month period, you automatically lose your monetization. And so that's what had happened. And when that had happened, I thought to myself, well, I'm just going to leave this channel alone. I never really thought I'd touch it again, like ever. I never thought I would. And so I went off and actually started helping grow another channel that was called AZUNX. And it was an Arizona podcast show that was about, ghost stories and UFOs and stuff like that. Okay. And what I did was all of the short, scary stories. So it was all like actual, real ghost stories. And I would have my buddy read it, and I would make it into a video. So it'd be visually seen, but he's reading all of it. And it was, so we did that. That's actually how I ended up meeting the community. So if it wasn't for all of these weird little things that happened along the journey of YouTube to get to where I am today, like I wouldn't even know you. Like we wouldn't even know each other. So that's like the journey of how it all began. But yeah, as AZUNX, though, that's how I met. I ended up into the Creators Collective. That's when I first met all of you guys. That's who I was. I was AZUNX.
Wow, what a story! See, this is what I wanted to learn. I wanted to know all this. I wanted to hear all this, and I'm pretty sure anyone else who wants to, because we share a lot of the same people. I'm sure a lot of my people are also some of yours, of course, subscribers and such. And if you guys are here, I'm sure you guys are just fascinated as I am. This man has a story to tell. I will say, though, as far as the double thing, yeah, it is as you know, there's not a lot of people, at least through our Discords and stuff, that work as teams. And it can be the best thing and also the worst thing at the same time sometimes, because when you are with that person recording or streaming or whatever you're doing, it's great. It's so awesome. And honestly, that actually helps take away any anxiety or worry about being on camera, because now you just have another person to share it with. And especially if you're already friends in real life, like Travis and I have been friends for 20 years, like since we were like in grade school. So it's like, it's natural. That's why it's so natural. We crack jokes with each other off camera all the time. Like we're always make each other laugh constantly. So that's why it comes off so great on camera. And David and I have been friends since like 2013 or something like that. So more than half a decade. So that's why our flow is so natural, because we're already friends. So when David and I started it, it was great. He would come over and we'd record. It's awesome. It's great. But then he moved to Texas about 5 months after we started the channel.
Oh, geez.
We had started it in May. He moved. I mean, I knew he was going to, but he moved to Texas in that September, I believe. And, after that happened, man, it was rough. It just like you, like, it's like, don't do any, like, it's hard to do something with the channel when like the DNA of it was with someone else. It was a duo thing. And I didn't want to do it without somebody. And so we try to do these things called bro loves. What we call them bro loves, which basically was just me on front of a camera talking kind of to him, but also anyone else can listen to it too. We put it on the channel. They're all gone now, but I put it on the channel, and I was just kind of telling how things were going, and telling him what's going on in the gaming news, and then asking his opinion on it, on like a topic. Like, we covered stuff like microtransactions. We covered the Anthem debacle. We covered DLC. We covered the PS5/Xbox Series X, like what we wanted from them, stuff like that. Everything like that. And then he would watch it and then record one himself and then upload it. And then we kind of went back and forth. Like, that's how we stayed communicated, while also putting stuff on the channel. But it wasn't the same though. It wasn't the same. And after a while, it kind of just fell flat. And then Travis showed up, and I was thinking, like, Travis, you want to like show up as like a guest on the channel? And he was like, hell yeah. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I had him show up. We did a little bit. It was really fun. And then I kept having him come over for what we had dubbed Fridays with Friends. And so he would come on Fridays, and we would like play like a series. Like, we had played Mirror's Edge, we had played Batman, and so, but he only on Fridays. But then it got to the point where, like, all right, he's not coming back. Like, he's staying in Texas. And I was like, me and Travis have a good time with this. So I was like, you know what? Like, I talked to David about it. He was like, yeah, do what you got to do to keep the channel alive. I was like, Travis, you want to just be on this full time? And he was like, what? You mean it? I was like, yeah, bro. Like, David's gone. You're already doing this every week anyways. You want to just do this, be basically the main guy, the main second guy? And he was like, fuck yeah. And so I think that was in 2019, beginning 2019, he became basically the second main guy of the channel. But sometimes he still can't make it for a lot. He has a lot of personal stuff that goes on in his life and stuff, and things sometimes he just can't make it for a long period of time. And that sucks, because sometimes we're out of content, and it's like, I refuse to put content on my own, because one, I'm not good at it, and two, it's just because it needs to be with someone else. Like, it has to. Like, the only thing I like doing on my own are those Rock Band Guitar Hero videos. Like, that's it. Because that makes sense. It's meant for one person.
Yeah.
Like, I know you can do a band, but like, whatever. Like, it's meant for one person, and I let myself go when I play that stuff. But other than that, no, I need someone else with me. But things are getting better. He's been doing really good in life as of recently. So things have been great. We've been able to record quite a bit. We want to start live streaming a lot more because we wanted to keep a lot of content ready to go. But I think we have some now. So I think we can start live streaming more often. It's just we can only meet like once a week. So it's like, you have to choose. You live stream or you record some content.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's like a give or take.
Yeah,
it's a give or take. If we can meet up all the time, like three times a week, we would stream every week, like a lot of people do. It's just, I know some channels do preface or they focus more on streaming, and I totally understand why, and I know we need to do that more as well. But it's just, I like having that episode, like that kind of episode content. I'm not saying it's the best. I just like to have that. That's just what I like to have. But I think we have enough like ready to go, like just like ready to release, that I think we can actually start live streaming again. But anyways, that's enough about my backstory. Back to you with your life story. How did you meet Justin?
So I actually met Justin. So when I met all of you guys with the Clouded Collective, and I was with AZU and X, that's the first time that I had actually met Justin. He was kind of doing his own thing. There were supposed to be 2 other people on his channel.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be like a collab. There's actually supposed to be 3 people on the bread box. I don't think people realize that.
I didn't.
Yeah. The other two people did do videos. If you go back on the bread box and scroll all the way back to the very beginning, you'll see the other two people were there, and then
Oh.
something happened. But anyways, when I first met him, he was only doing Dragon Ball Z live streams, and what it was is he would ask the audience to pick who he was going to fight with or who he would fight against, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I honestly, now that I think back on it, I think I may have been the only person that ever showed up to those live streams, but it would just be me and him like chatting it up, right, in these live
Uh-huh.
streams. But then we were also on the Discord together. And at that time, I never really thought to myself, like, let's go off and start a channel and, we're going to be best friends and whatnot. But it just something became of that. And then we just started chatting and I got to know him more. And we were very similar in being nerds. He's obviously a lot more nerdy than I am, but we were similar. We had a lot in common, we'll say.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So you became friends from his live streams, more or less.
Yeah.
So, all
Yeah,
right.
we became friends in this live stream, and then
Interesting.
we decided I was going to just randomly, okay, so I was doing AZUNX, then they decided that they didn't want to really go the direction that I was trying to kind of push them in. So we had a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a falling out. I uh, They basically decided to go back to Facebook because I had pulled them onto YouTube. I said, you should come to YouTube. It would probably be better for you guys. And it was pretty huge. And they decided to go back to Facebook. And so, anyways, that's when somebody who I kept watching all the time, D Art, as I call him, he knew that I had this other channel that was called MG Nights, and I had told him, I said, I'm thinking about starting up a different channel, and I'm kind of thinking like, what am I going to do? Because back then, I was on AZUNX, and that's all I was doing. So I wasn't doing anything for myself. Like I was working with
Mm-hmm.
another people that were already doing something. So it was kind of like I was helping people grow instead of physically help. So I ended up meeting this
Yeah.
massive community of people because of helping AZUNX, finding all these people with connections. And so it was very easy for me to then pick up one of my old channels and then be like, hey, let's
Yeah.
restart that. So it was MG Nights.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a chat one day with D Art, and he was like, man, you should totally just rebrand one of your channels and bring it back. Like, well, why would you want to delete it and start over? And because that's what I was just going to do, just start a whole new channel and, from the bottom up. And he was like, no, just do this one. And so me and Justin started talking one day, and I had mentioned to him about, like, working together, and he had, had a similar feeling but hadn't said anything, I think, at that point. And so then we rebranded MG Nights to Clouded Minds back on January 1st. I think we had originally talked about it mid-November before it had actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so our original
Wow.
plan, just to give you an interesting side note
Oh.
on the channel when we
Ooh, bonus
launched it,
tax.
is Justin he'll find this funny. We originally were meant to have a slew of content. So Justin's one of those people who likes to pre-record stuff and have things ready, right? So let's say we record
Yeah, like
5
me. Yeah.
videos, but they're
Yeah.
all scheduled or ready to be, and
Mm-hmm.
then whatnot.
Yeah.
That was our original intention with the channel, and that never happened. It literally, even to this day, it still never happens.
Hey, well, whatever. But origin stories are always fun to hear. So, but yeah. Wow. A little quick side bit. I actually found the collective. Well, I found I forget the name. Home from YouTube. Sammy Bugs, the channel
Oh,
that she
okay, yeah.
runs. Actually no, it was a different one. But anyways, I was looking for extra. I was thinking like when I started realizing that Travis and I were meshing really well, and I was like, okay, I know, like I have the confidence in knowing that our stuff is entertaining. We need to get some eyes on this stuff. That was our biggest problem. So I started finding some Facebook groups because this is before I knew Discord was a thing. So I was like, let me go to Facebook group, find some Facebook pages that you can post stuff on, basically a WOC but for Facebook. And so I found a few. And I was like, cool, cool, cool. And then out of nowhere, I get a personal message from some guy saying that like, hey, I've opened up this Discord thing. Um, he probably just mass emailed everyone, and I was one of them. So I was like, okay, let me just follow this, and then I started going to it. It took me to, I forget who he was. Sammy, if you're watching this, I know you probably remember who this. You remember this, but it took me to some guy's his server he was running, and it was basically doing like that, like promote content daily, stuff like that, blah blah blah. And so I was like, cool. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So I did, and I was doing my part to help out. And then I would sometimes hop in the general chat because I was unemployed at the time, so I could actually be in the freaking chat. And so I was, talking, whatever, starting to actually meet some people and stuff like that. But then out of nowhere, I get a link from Sammy to her own server, and so I'm like, oh, that's weird because I've seen her in the others. What's going on? So I clicked on that, took me to that server, and then I go into that general chat, and I start seeing all this shit that apparently, like, because the guy from the first server, he more or less just wasn't the best person in the world. He was way too strict. He had way too many rules. Like, like every server has rules. He had apparently just way too many. They were convoluted. They're out of nowhere. He was also kind of a dick. Apparently, I didn't interact with him, so I don't know firsthand. But that's what I saw. And like, he was also super passive aggressive. So that, like, because Sammy took a lot of the people, if not everybody, from that first server. She took them all. Because her rules were like, there's like fucking like 4 of them or something. Like, it was super simple. I was like, just don't do this, and this. Agree, cool, done. That's it. That's it. Like, if you're not a mod, you can't go here and here. Otherwise, you can go wherever you want. So everyone jumped board on hers, and then she was getting a whole bunch of hate, and the mods were getting a lot of hate that they all left. And then he was just super butthurt about it. And then I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. And then I forget how I came across yours. I think I might have gotten a link from someone else in Sammy's. I was like, hey, there's this other one too. And I was like, okay, the more the merrier, hell yeah. And then that's how I got into yours. And then that's where we're at now. But it all started from Facebook as well. Like, I just wanted to bring that up. My journey started with Facebook as well. And that's how I ended up coming across you guys as well. This little funny little thing. But anyways, we're gonna wrap up here. I just wanted to have you maybe share some wisdom to the masses. So what has helped, because you're almost hitting 3K. You're getting close to 3. You're getting close to 3K. And I'm not, by the way, just want to let you guys all know that. You can help with that. But anyways,
you can. That's right, guys. Slap that link,
that's my shameless plug.
Slap
Ty
it.
is the king of shameless plugs. Anyways, what would you say, like, to kind of get some constant growth, not explosive, not like big ones and then lulls, just constant.
The biggest thing I could probably recommend for everyone to make sure that they do, keep up on your comments. One thing that I would probably say that I've noticed from when we first started MG Nights, before I rebranded into Clouded Minds and then started actually doing what I would call community building now, is I wasn't very good at keeping up with my comments. And one thing that I notice in keeping up with my comments, that a lot of those people who you would be commenting on do come back and they return, right? So you'll never know. Let's just say out of 10 people's comments, you respond to all 10 of them, and one of those people happens to come back and watch another one of your videos. I find that as like a success, right? Like, you've kept up on your comments and people are actually like responding to you, interacting with them as well. So keep up on your comments. Another good thing too is, show the love to people who come and show the love back to you. Like, that's another way that you can absolutely make friendships as well. So,
and I will say that's not the first time I've heard that latter tip. I've heard that from someone else as well. So he's not alone in that. I don't know how qualified I am to say anything. I only have 218 subscribers. You could help out with that, by the way. I would say if you're going to look into YouTube, you either need to be entertaining or educational. Those are the two biggest things people are looking for. They're looking either to be entertained or learn something, like, get some help on trying to do something. If most of us are going to be entertaining, find that thing that you think makes you entertaining and roll with it. Because there's a lot of people who do this. I mean, games itself are entertaining, but I could do that anywhere. You got to find something about you that can't be as easily replicated. And even if it is you being funny, everyone has funny in different ways. Like the way I'm funny with Travis is nowhere near the same way as funny as you might be. But if you are funny, lean into that. If you are something else, lean into that. But you should focus on that. And most of us are trying to be gaming YouTubers. We're in the entertainment sector. Be entertaining. Find a way to be entertaining. That would be my thing, I would say. Look at Ty. He's 3,000 subscribers. You think he got that by not being entertaining? Come on. You should see Justin when he gets those donos. You should see him. He has a cardiac arrest every goddamn time it happens. All right? Lean into that. If you're a dork, be a dork. People like dorks. You know? It doesn't matter. Lean into whatever you think is best for you.
If I could give one more piece of advice that I usually try to say to everybody is put yourself out there, because if you don't do that, you'll never know. Just always think to yourself that there's always going to be somebody similar to interest. Anything you have interest in, there's always going to be 1,000, 1,000,000 other people who have the exact same interests as you. The whole point of what you're trying to do and not be discouraged by is finding those people, right? That's your YouTube journey, is finding the same people who have the same interests than you are and are really interested in what you're doing. So one piece of advice I could give you on top of what I've already said is just put yourself out there. If you don't put yourself out there, like, you're never going to know like what people are actually wanting from you, if that makes sense. So if I could just say, just put yourself out there and see what sticks, because you being you, I think, is going to be the most important thing that I could say that you could keep. Like, don't try to be somebody else. Just be yourself.
And also, don't. I know they say fake it till you make it, but don't fake an entirely different persona for yourself. If it's not,
especially if you can't keep it up for decades.
Yeah, if you can't keep it up. I know so many YouTubers have to exaggerate their reactions to shit. That's not you, don't try it. It's not. We'll see. Everyone's going to see right through it. So don't do that either. Anyways, that's going to wrap up this podcast, everybody. Thank you again, Ty, for jumping on this kind of last.
Heck yeah! Well, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it greatly. Yeah, absolutely. This is Ty from Clouded Minds. He does a Wednesday member shout out for everyone that is community to kind of give them some exposure, give them some love that are giving him love back, just like he said. Show the love back if they give you love. He does a Friday, like a live panel. Is kind of transitioning to somewhat of like a small group podcast style on Fridays. Like early evening, and then myself, and Jet Game Creations do a later stream around 9 p.m. Pacific, and then he and Jet they're starting to do these live streams on that same night at 11:30 p.m. Pacific. He has some busy Friday nights while y'all are going crazy at the club. He's out here grinding on that YouTube, all right, with those bangs in hand. Even though he is a Diet Coke right now.
No, it's Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. Oh, Dr. Pepper.
Sponsor us,
sorry,
please.
But I knew it was Diet.
I'm just kidding.
Bro, if Mountain Dew would sponsor me, bro, I would be the biggest sellout. I'm not even joking. Anyways, that's a side tangent. Anyways, guys, let's wrap up this episode here. If you liked the podcast, if you liked this episode, if you like me or Ty, please hit the subscribe button.
Slap it.
You know what, Ty? Actually, you know what? Give us a shameless plug. Give this a shameless plug.
If you guys enjoyed what you saw, guys, don't forget to leave a comment down below. Let us know, what you agreed with, what you didn't, what you liked. But guys, don't forget to slap the like and make sure that you destroy it. Like, destroy the like. What are you doing? If you don't, I'm gonna have Freddy Krueger personally come out from under your bed, and it's gonna be bad news.
There you go.
I'm gonna have Cream Pie come over and show you where RJ touched it, okay? So be careful.
They don't know what that is. Well, some of them might, but not everyone knows what that is.
No, but for reals,
no.
Guys, no, for real. Slap the like, slap the subscribe. Show these guys some love over here. They definitely deserve it. I love what you guys are doing with the podcast, with the gaming, with the entertainment. You guys are super entertaining. So thank you so much for letting me come on here and shoot the crap with you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on, man. And with that, guys, thank you again for stopping by. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next week.
Goodbye. We'll see your eye holes next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.